What's going on, guys? It's Apple, trying hard as I can to keep a consistent upload schedule and not just once every 14 years. I want to talk today about the fact that there are forces at work trying to empty value from you and your family. They're trying to suck the value, the whatever economic points you have built up. They're trying to take that from you. And I want to talk about how hopefully we can keep that within our families, our communities, our friend groups, because I think that's a better future where we get to keep the value. There's no reason anyone would know this, but I'm a financial advisor by trade. Been doing it for the last 7 years, and specifically I do retirement planning. I deal with people who are leaving the workforce with whatever they have saved and trying to figure out how to get through maybe 30 more years of their life. And it's a scary thought, and one of the biggest things that comes up is what to leave, if anything, what to leave to the kids. A lot of the people in that age group, talking about boomers retiring and their kids that are maybe in their 40s, that group's doing pretty well. It's not all rainbows and sunshine, but a lot of their kids are doing better than they're doing. But we have to wrestle with the fact that in the next 20, 40 years, a lot of these jobs that we're working right now are not going to be around. A lot of things that people rely on to make a living, to build up a family fortune, are going to be gone. I like to think about all the occupational last names. You know what I'm talking about. Smith, Fletcher, Shoemaker, all these last names that people have that are middle managers now, or they're teachers. You know, think about that for a minute. Think about how many last names are just someone's job from 1,000 years ago. And that job provided so much and kept their family going all the way into modern times, kept their bloodline moving along. And every shoemaker I know is a teacher. Every Smith I know is a data analyst. There are going to be no people in the future named John Data Analyst. I promise. There's not going to be anybody named Billy Middle Management. There's not going to be anybody named Annie HR. It's just not a thing. These jobs that we have are fleeting right now. They're the product of a time that is not going to exist very long, more than likely. Certainly not long enough to start naming your families after. So we have to contend with all this. And I think those forces that I was talking about right at the beginning of the video, the forces that are trying to extract value from us and move it from our pile to their pile, I think they've done a great job at dividing and conquering us. So here's kind of something I've always thought. Nobody owes you anything, right? When clients come through my office talking about to leave their kids, I don't think they owe their kids anything. I've never thought that before. I've never thought about what my parents would leave behind to me. I don't think that way. But I do understand that we are at this very transformative, transitional time in history where it's like, what are most of us going to do when the jobs are gone, right? How are we going to make sure that the shoemakers keep going into the space age or, into AI age? What's going to happen to everybody? And I started thinking about our individualism, which I love individualism. I'm 100,000% for individualism. But I think maybe we've gotten individualized in the wrong way. I think it's good to be an individual characteristically and as far as your hobbies go and as far as what you want to do. But we've been convinced that our economic story arc, our financial lives, are some lone wolf thing. And I think that what that really has done was made us very easy targets for giant corporations and, whatever you want to call them, to take our shit. I think it's a lie. I think we should be individuals. I think our future, our fortune, our adventure belongs to us and we direct it. But I do think that there is some merit to community, not governmental, community familial safety nets. And I'll give you some examples. We have a here in Texas, we have large minority communities, which is kind of hilarious to say. We have giant Indian communities, Hispanic communities, Asian communities, which that's my community. And all of these communities have typically, if you get into the culture a bit, you start looking at their marriage ceremonies and the way they do business within their own niches. There is some kind of safety net. You can, if you have a medical emergency and you're an Indian guy, you can get some help from your community. You know, Asian weddings, they give money, and everyone gives you money, and then when their family gets married, you give them money. It's this kind of you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours deal. It's not that, it has nothing to do with just giving you free stuff. You know, it's not about, oh, I need a car, let me go ask my aunt for, you know, a down payment. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just you do your best, we do our best, and we're here if the worst happens. I think we need to bring that back. I think that is sorely missing. There's this kind of stingy boomer archetype that we all think about. It's like, well, I did my part. I told my kid to go to college and saddle themselves with debt and, you know, get the worst deal on a used Jeep Compass, and I've done my part. I'm bowing out. And there is some truth to that. I think, like, you know, I think whatever your situation is, it's best if you can think about ways you could have avoided it. I don't think there's any real benefit to thinking about ways that other people are at fault for your circumstances. But at the same time, that old boomer crotchety, I know what I got, trying to sell their kids a used pickup truck for maximum value, I don't think that is a good thing. I think that is a twisted, deformed way of kind of thinking about individualism. And I don't know. Normally, again, I would never think these thoughts. I'm not somebody who's waiting for an inheritance. I'm not somebody looking for a handout from family, and I don't. But the very real reality of housing unaffordability and jobs drying up and fake job listings being, you know, 90% of what's on Indeed, you have to wrestle with these things, you know? And I think the way to do that is to kind of get back to that economic tribalism I've been calling it. To get back to having your in-group, your family, your friends. This is not a, by the way, just to clarify, this is not a racial thing, okay? Historically, 99% of the time it has been, but I think right now it's us, it's community, it's whatever you look like. It's normal people versus giant institutions versus insurance companies and car manufacturers and banks and credit cards and BlackRock turning you basically into a debt slave, right? And just milking you for every dollar you have coming in. I'll talk about money itself on the personal level in another video, because I think that is a fascinating, I think what's happened with that is insane. But yeah, let me stop for a minute and give you an example of what I'm talking about. I have a buddy, Hispanic family, great, awesome family, lots of kids, and they basically don't let real estate leave the family if they can help it, right? Because you can't go giving your valuables to the crackhead cousin that'll raid grandma's medicine cabinet. You can't do that. You have to have some discernment and some you got to be able to gauge what people can handle. But if they can help it, they don't let real estate out of the family. They don't give it away. My buddy, it was not just given a house, but from what he's told me, he got a pretty good deal on his grandpa's house. His dad sold him his grandpa's house, and he got a pretty good deal to make sure that he's got somewhere to be. He's building equity. It's not a handout. It's not a freebie, but at the same time, his dad understands that it's not a net benefit to yourself or your family if you're just trying to scalp people that that needs something. Because what's going to happen if you're only scalping for the highest price all the time? Prices are going up. Now, surprise, surprise, none of your 7 kids can afford a house. Guess where they're going to go? Back to the bank of mom and dad. They have that understanding. They understand that it's not a benefit to anybody if they get to sell their house and their used truck at the highest possible price, and their dependents or their children don't have anything. Because it's just going to come back to bite them in the butt when they're bumming off of you. You know, this is crazy talk for most, I would say modern individualistic financial thinking, but it makes perfect sense when you think about the fact that historically you've always had a tribe, right? Historically, you've always had a family, an in-group, people that are, like I said, not there to put life on rails. They're not there to do your job for you, but they're there to kind of make sure that the continuation of the community keeps going. And I think we've utterly lost that. Kind of going back to my friendship thing, I think what we have to do is we have to take the best of the past and bring that to the future so we can keep on going. Or we bring that to the present, I should say, so we can survive into the future. And it's, I'm so trained, I'm so conditioned, it's almost gross to think about it that way. But I think it needs to be thought about that way. My mom's from the Philippines. I think I may have mentioned that. We have no Filipino family over here. There's not really much of a community. My dad is white. I love my family. I love my Caucasian family, but we've all kind of split up, moved apart, gotten stuck in our own little tribal groups. And then when I see my in-laws, again, they're not giving each other money or anything like that, but they're all looking out for each other. And I think that my in-law family is going to be around probably longer and more tight-knit and more securely than my blood family, because we've all kind of just ran off and gone PvE mode, for lack of a better term. And hopefully we can turn that around. Hopefully we can change that. Again, can't stress this enough. This is not a racial thing, and this is not an expectation of freebies from your family. That's not what I'm getting at. All I'm saying is if you have a cousin, if you have a grandson or something who needs a car, give him your old beater. That trade-in value, you're getting screwed at the dealership, buddy. You want to get screwed by the dealership for a slightly lower monthly payment on whatever new piece of crap you buy? Or would you're better off just giving it to your cousin or your nephew or something, that old beater. Just keep it in the family. How much more valuable is it to your family unit that the working age young men and women in your family can get around, that they have some kind of transportation, versus the $3,900 the dealership is going to give you towards trade-in on your 10-year-old truck? Come on, it's a no-brainer. So not to go on a car rant, but just to summarize, I'm going to wrap up the video here. There's more videos to be recorded. Let's get a little tribal in a good way, in a healthy way. Not tribal as in us versus other tribes, but tribal as in we need to create these communal units. I think family units, community groups, and we should watch out for each other, because right now, get on Facebook Marketplace, go talk to your uncles. We're all just trying to scalp each other for the most profit in the short term by giving all of our valuables to giant conglomerates, giant corporations. We're paying all of our, to healthcare companies. We're shoveling money and value out of our family units for slightly better balance sheet, and at what cost? What's that going to get you? What is the point if you get a slightly better deal on your used truck and your whole family is destitute? So anyways, this isn't a bid for communism or anything, but I think that be the individual, blaze your own trail, create your fortune, go on your own adventure, but at the same time, we do have a responsibility to each other, I think, to our family, to our community. And that's all I'm trying to say. I think we should just keep that in mind moving forward. So thank you for listening if you made it this far. I'm going to try to make these videos not 30 minutes long, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.